Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since me and Slade have done a thing together. How y'all doing, by the way? How y'all doing? Welcome on in. It's time for a normal episode, isn't it, Slade? We got the news
That's
for
right.
you. We got
We are going to cover the news. It has been quite a while, and part of that's also because the news has been, for the most part, dead. But we actually got a pretty interesting week here. Slade here. Let's go ahead and get started with some very good and honestly shocking news. Limited run going on an absolutely crazy announcement spree
yeah.
through one of their own presentations, which includes the return of the iconic Gex.
Gex is back, baby. Yeah, Limited Run Games had its event. I think it was subtitled LRG Saves E3 or something like that. But yeah. So we're gonna quickly go over some of the big announcements from this event. Obviously, Gex is back. The Gex trilogy, Gex, the 2D platformer 1, and then Gex 2 and 3. The 3D platformer ones, which quite the weird trend a lot of these series from the 90s had. The first entry was a 2D game, and then the second and third entries are 3D. Looking at you, Rayman. R.I.P. the homie, Rayman. But yeah, we're getting the Gex trilogy, date unknown, but it's coming to all the major platforms, which is great. We're getting Clock Tower in early 2024 coming to all the major platforms. We're getting Tomba coming to everything but Xbox, which is weird. We're getting a fucking Shantae GBA game, like on a cart, no modern platforms yet, which is wild because Slade, somebody's gonna fucking upload the ROM to the web whenever this cart releases.
Oh yeah, it's actually kind of like the craziest announcement outside of Gex itself is just like, it's really weird that they're releasing a GBA title in 2023.
Yeah, God, like I know,
Locked to GBA.
like I know GameCube games are releasing now, which is fucking nuts. Speaking of nuts, we're getting Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, which looks a lot like the Zelda CDI games from back in the day. And fun fact,
That's right. And didn't I also hear that it features some of the voice talent?
yeah,
Those
so
games as well?
yeah, the voice talents of Link and Zelda in the CDI games are back. And the wildest thing, this is being made by the person who made the CDI remakes, I think a year or two ago, which is even crazier.
That is crazy.
And then
I guess there's a demand for these types of
yeah,
games.
and speaking of crazy, plumbers don't wear ties is back. Why? Why is this fucking game back? Why?
Who asked for this?
Yeah, who asked for this? And apparently they got a bunch of YouTubers and people involved with the game interviewed for extras, including AVGN, the man who made this game infamous on the internet.
Insanity. I mean,
and
we
it's
here on Who the Hell Asked or asking who asked for this.
yeah, and it's coming soon, September, to all modern platforms. Limited Run, man, like they broke the internet for the 90s internet for a hot minute there.
Oh yeah, some absolutely incredible stuff. Some more good news, because I do consider everything Limited Run did is good news. Aegis CWA, the Western Sega Guild for Allied Employees Guild Improving Sega, won their vote when it came to their union election.
Hell yeah. Always a great thing to see. They join ZeniMax and a bunch of other unions in the gaming industry. It's a great thing. Always a great thing to see there. Always a great thing. So I think we see more of this happening in the future, not just with Sega and like ZeniMax, but with other companies. Obviously, maybe we'll see that more with Microsoft when the whole Activision thing is done. We'll get to that later, but yeah, always a great thing. But something that's not as great of a thing, Slade. The Video Game History Foundation published a blog study that they did of 87% of classic video games are completely unavailable.
That is
Absolutely
right.
bizarre. 13% of video game history is being represented in the current marketplace. In fact, no period of video game history defined in this study even cracked 20% representation, and they did it up from the 1960s to 2009 is when they stopped, which is 9 in every 10 classic games.
Which is pretty insane, all things considering. Obviously, there's, a lot of talk like, oh, well, they port older popular titles all the time. You can play Final Fantasy VII on every modern platform. What gives? Why do people care? Well, we essentially view video games as art here on the channel, or at least I personally, and I'm pretty sure Byron does as well. And this is a lot of stuff that is going to be lost to time if they aren't preserved. And companies like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sega, etc.,
Yeah.
aren't doing enough to preserve these titles.
Yeah, and the quick facts, 87% of classic games are not in release and are considered critically endangered. Availability is low across every platform and time period tracked. Libraries and archives can digitally preserve but not digitally share video games and can provide on-premise access only. Libraries and archives are allowed to digitally share other media types, such as books, films, and audios, and are not restricted to on-premise access. The ESA has consistently fought against expanding video game preservation within libraries and archives, which, if you don't know who the ESA are, yeah, they're the video game lobbying group. They ran E3 to the ground. It's crazy.
At this point, we need to see laws passed to help preserve these games and take some of the rights of these extremely much older titles.
Yeah, and even
away
for
from these companies.
and even for newer titles, I don't think we covered this, or if we did, it was very brief. But Gerard the Completionist archived, I think, every Wii U and 3DS game, or most of them, if he didn't get to all of them. Which
he also made a video on this very topic we're discussing right now too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good video. Definitely recommend checking it out.
Absolutely. But yeah, and then there was also a little explainer, like why did we do this study? But it sounds obvious. They did this study though to inform the people that the widely known games are available. And they even mentioned, Slade, and you mentioned this game earlier. You can buy a new copy of Final Fantasy VII for just about every platform. There's a market for classic game re-releases, the business booming, but it's only the big games. It's only the big games.
Yeah, and it's the little guys that are getting left behind, and it's really unfortunate. So definitely look into this study, and I hope that having an accurate study like this will be presented to lawmakers and stuff like that to actually get some form of library going for all this historical game data, because it's just a shame that, again, there's so many games out there that just aren't being preserved.
Yeah, and they studied, I believe it was over 4,000 games with the help of a site called Moby Games, a huge community-run database of video games, which that's pretty cool. But yeah, if you want to know more, we linked to the study and the blog below, and the blogs below if you want to get more in depth, because there's a lot to take in on this. But something I think everybody can agree is a bad thing is fandom. We've talked about these motherfuckers before. They acquired a whole bunch of shit months ago. But Minecraft wiki editors, official Minecraft wiki editors, are so furious at Fandom's degraded functionality and pop-ups, they're overwhelmingly voting to leave the site due to transparency, loss of features, and a, quote, toxic company culture. Holy shit.
That's right. And I would be the first to say that I do not expect Minecraft and its community to be the only community that people decide to leave Wiki. I imagine we're probably going to see lots of other,
Yeah,
Wiki creators and communities also
Yeah,
leave the website because it's frankly it's abysmal.
yeah, not just video games, by the way, either TV shows, anime, other hobbies. Like, if you have never been on a Fandom wiki site, first off, consider yourself lucky. Because, goddamn, you must be able to find the good wikis. Because I know a lot of the Nintendo franchises have their own wikis all in like a network. The Mario Wiki, Zelda Wiki, Fire Emblem Wiki, Bulbapedia. Like, those have them. But, yeah, Fandom is trash. It's ad-ridden. It's misinformed. They pay for the top results so that the other wikis are like shoved down in the search results. Like, and were they the ones that acquired GameFAQs, or am I thinking of some other company that acquired
No,
that?
I believe you're correct. I think they did, but
Yeah.
I tell you what, if we're wrong about that, we'll make sure to add a notation in a future episode that we were incorrect.
Yeah, but yeah, and there were some points brought up that I think are incredible. Degrading logged out reader experience due in part to the large number of ads, which that's just been a problem across the internet in general. The obtrusive yellow Fandom navigation bar and pop-ups, including one asking readers to confirm their age to personalize the ads shown. Adding features like Fandom created quizzes to the top of pages, often citing vague statistics on engagement. The aforementioned yellow search bar, which was justified as reinforcing Fandom's branding. Adding links to other wikis, some of which cover questionable topics and unrelated Fandom articles in places like the fan feed and full page search results. Holy shit. Yeah, like...
Yeah, the whole thing's a disaster.
Yeah, if you run wikis, don't use Fandom.
Yeah, definitely don't use Fandom.
Literally anybody else. Use literally self-host one if you can. Use literally anybody else but Fandom. And yeah. But obviously I wanted to bring this up because first off, anytime we can kick Fandom down is always a great time. But second off, this is Microsoft property. And speaking of Microsoft, Slade, it happened.
Oh, boy.
It fucking happened.
It finally happened. Microsoft won in court in the fight against FTC to buy the Blizzard.
Yes.
That's right. You heard it.
Yeah.
Microsoft has finally overcome what is potentially its greatest foe in the acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
I wouldn't say it's the greatest foe, because we'll get into that, who I think are the greatest foes in a minute. But obviously the FTC was a huge step, though, to overcome. And in the ruling by Judge Corley said, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserves scrutiny. I agree with that. That scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft committed in writing in public and in court to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. It made agreements with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch. Well, more than likely, that's going to be the Switch to the next Nintendo system, whatever it is. And several agreements for the first time to bring Activision content to several cloud gaming services. Curious to see how that's going to pan out, because I feel like cloud gaming and the streaming services in gaming are going to be on a downfall soon if the TV and movie streaming services are anything to go by. But they basically were like, yeah, the motion for preliminary injunction has been denied. The FTC hasn't shown good enough evidence, which there are definitely arguments to be made against this acquisition in general. But,
yeah, for sure.
But
especially
the FTC,
when it's this large of an acquisition.
Yeah, but the FTC didn't bring enough good arguments. But so they've moved on. So what do you think this means as of right now?
Well, as of right now, and this is just my stance on the matter, because I know they still have their fight against the CMA to go forward with. Mm-hmm. But I view that to be a much easier to deal with situation. Oh, you think that's easier? The FTC. Interesting. Yes. Especially now that we have the ruling against the FTC. That's true. They'll probably use this as some sort of precedent to kind of push most of the other cases forward. Yeah. To me, this is all but a done deal at this point.
Yeah.
I think the acquisition is going to go through, and within the year, whether it's probably before like May of next year or something,
Mhm.
we will see that Microsoft has officially acquired Activision Blizzard, and the whole story will finally be behind us.
Hell, apparently there is set to be, and thank you to Tom Warren for this information. The Competition Appeal Tribunal has scheduled a Microsoft CMA case management conference for July 17th, which, for those who don't know, from when we're recording this, that's a couple days away, but that's also one day before the original deal deadline of July 18th for the original deal, which, if the case doesn't close by then, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard will have to renegotiate the acquisition deal, which that could be very interesting if things sour from there, but I don't think they will, considering the CMA is the only thing left. But yeah, all eyes, as Tom Warren says, all eyes are on Monday. How do you think this goes down on Monday?
I think again, with this being used as a precedent, I think the CMA deal will most likely, or the CMA dispute will probably either resolve itself by Monday, or I think that Microsoft and Active Blizzard will agree to a new deal once the case is like done and over with. I sincerely doubt at this point Microsoft is going to back down.
Yeah, like
at any point or juncture.
Yeah, like and I think I said this at the time when it was first announced the FTC case was happening. I believed if they lost the case, they would back out of the deal. Because the US is a pretty big market for Microsoft, considering that's one of the few markets they stand a fighting chance against Sony in. And this would have, I'm not going to say like really help, really like revive the name of Xbox, but it would help to an extent at the very least.
For sure. And I don't know, to me it's just once they got past the FTC, I feel like though Europe is a large market for Microsoft, I feel like Europe isn't that important to them in the grand scheme of things compared to like the US and elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I do think that they're going to do whatever they can to, push against the CMA and have it done and over with by Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, and even Tom Warren says, the deal could be closed by the time the CAT has this management conference, that would be kind of wild if that happened.
Yeah.
Which would literally have to happen in the next couple of days, which again, it's been the last couple of years in gaming. We've seen the wildest shit happen. Like, hell, Gex is back, by the way. Gex is back. We fucking saw that Bubsy came back at some point. So, like, anything is fucking possible at this point, but it is looking like a done deal. Crash is going to be a Microsoft property. Spyro is going to be a Microsoft property, and they both are going to have a plot right next to Banjo and Conquer.
Yeah, and no games ever being made again.
Yeah, because Microsoft don't really, even though Phil Spencer has said on multiple occasions he wants to have those like more like colorful like IP. I think that's a crack of shit.
Well, yeah, I think the problem is on Xbox specifically, there's just no demand for platformers.
Well, you could technically say the same thing with modern PlayStation, but
yeah, I think really Nintendo's the system you'd have to have.
Nintendo,
in order to have
Nintendo and Steam.
Yeah, Nintendo and Steam.
Yeah, but yeah, this is going to be very interesting. This case to watch for, because they did it. There was a chance that I thought the FTC would win, but they didn't make the good enough arguments that you could make for this.
You could argue whether they make good arguments or not.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, this is ultimately going to come down to Microsoft having the case over in California and having the money and the lawyers to really just try to push this through.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just felt like this was inevitable either way, and it was just a matter of time.
But yeah, so but yeah, we may have another wild week of gaming news next week, or we may have another video from Slade next week, or sometime later this week. by the way.
Yeah, so definitely look forward to that because I do have a very special video for all you guys. But that's going to be everything for this week's episode. This has been Slade.
And this has been Byron. Try to stay cool in this hot weather, and hope y'all have a good day, good night, and goodbye. And it's tail time.